Nikki and welcome to my channel. Today we are doing the speed build for the house for the Gossetts, the sibling family that I created in the last video. This house is 3 bedrooms and 2.5 baths. Um, the thing about this house is that it's bigger than all the other houses that I have done on this channel so far. So I had some issues with editing in terms of figuring out what I needed to cut down so that this video wouldn't be an hour long. That's my first time having that issue because I knew that it was the biggest house and that it would be the longest video, but I wasn't sure exactly what I would do to make it fit within. I wanted it to be at least 25 to 30 minutes was my goal. It ended up being a little bit longer, um, including the screenshots that I do at the end. I ended up speeding it up a little bit more too, so that's why it might seem a little bit faster than the other videos. And I ended up leaving out a few rooms. I didn't show the half bath downstairs, either of the bathrooms upstairs, the entryway, the backyard, the garage, and the laundry room. However, they're all in the screenshots at the end. So if you're curious about what they look like, the screenshots at the end will show them. Minus the half bath because it's so small. It's a 1x3 room and it's just a sink and a toilet. And like, no one cares what the half bath looks like anyway. There was nothing special about it. But anyway, going off of the floor plan that I had for this, I did end up switching it up just a tiny bit. I was unsure about the closet in the 1 bedroom upstairs that sticks out, that little 2x2 room that sticks out a little bit. I was originally going to leave that out because I felt like it wasn't completely necessary because it's a closet and in The Sims closets aren't really necessary. You can just put a dresser down in a room. But I ended up thinking about it and trying it out, and I actually really liked it. So I ended up going ahead and doing that. Um, I can't think if there was anything else that I changed really. Um, Later you'll see I add a little bump out to the side that's by the road, because as I was making it and putting all the windows up and everything, I was thinking I didn't put any windows on that side because I don't think there was any windows on that side in the floor plan. And then as I was looking at it, I was like, that looks really weird. It's just one long wall and there's no windows on it, and it just didn't look right. So I ended up adding a little bump out um in the back. Um the room on this room that I'm in right now, I add a little bump out to push it out to the road a little bit more. Um it added a slightly bit more it added a slight bit more definition to the side so it wasn't just one long wall. Um and in my opinion it made it look better. I went with these windows with the shutters as well because in the picture I believe the windows had shutters. Um and I really liked the way it looked. It went with the style of the house a whole lot better. So I went ahead and kept doing that with the shutters. Otherwise, I feel like I probably would have used different windows on this house, but I really like the way that it turned out. This is the garage here, this big room, and I'm attempting to do a fake garage door. It ends up working out, but with the fact that I put the house on a foundation later, it looks kind of odd. I tried to do some terrain manipulation so that it would be up some. The ground would go up to the garage, so if they were actually driving, they would just have a slight incline that they drive up. It didn't end up working out. I'm not, you can see here, I cut it out and just put it in a little driveway. I'm still not very good at terrain manipulation. Um, that's something that I definitely want to work on because I feel like it adds a nice little extra bit to houses. Um, so eventually I will get to that point where I am okay at terrain manipulation. I think it's just because I don't really do it, and I didn't even do it in The Sims 3 when I was trying to build. Um, so later, I hope I will have developed some sort of skill in terrain manipulation because I think it's nice. It adds just an extra little bit of something to a house. Uh, I also would like to try the split level homes where the basement you can see like the very top wall of the basement in like older like kind of like mid-century type homes. So eventually if I become good enough, you'll probably see a house like that on the channel because I really like those. I think they're pretty cool. Um, in the backyard, I didn't put the backyard in the video, um, but there is pictures of it at the end in the screenshots. I'm still not very good at backyards. I think I tried a little bit harder with the backyard for this house just because there was a whole lot of room for one. Um, I still don't feel like it turned out as well or as nice as I would have wanted it to, but I think I'm getting better. You see here I'm putting brick with the siding on the second floor. I went with all brick at first. I had brick floor, brick stairs, brick wall, brick foundation, and it was too much. So I wanted to break it up some, and so I found that swatch with the white siding at the top, and I really like it. It added a nice little extra bit of definition to the house and made it look not so just brick. It was really bad, all the brick. It was really bad. I couldn't do it. Here I tried adding a pool that was a unique shape. And I normally do that, but I normally go off of a picture for them. And so when I tried doing it myself, it just didn't look right. And it didn't look right with the house because this house is more traditional and less modern. I feel like if it was a more modern house, it would have made more sense to have a pool that was oddly shaped like that. In the end, it just didn't work out, so I went with just a regular rectangular pool. In this house, I really liked the way that everything turned out, and I really liked that I was able to tie bits of this house back to the family. I ended up coming up with little bits of story elements to things that I put in the house, and you'll hear me talk about those later. Um, the kitchen was one of my favorite rooms to do, which normally I like doing kitchens, but I really liked the kitchen in this house. It turned out really nicely, even though it was kind of small, but I was able to add little extra story element bits to it that I really liked. Um, and you'll hear me talk about those more a little bit later. The kitchen will be coming up soon. I have these little stair add-ons for, I think it's base game stairs. Um, and I had a really hard time finding one that worked in the house and actually matched the stairs. Normally, I don't have such a hard time because I usually have like black stairs. Um, and I could not figure it out. But I ended up going with those ones. I think it looks nice regardless of the fact that the stairs in the stair add-on don't really match. Um, I think it's a nice little extra touch to the stairs and in the entryway, which I don't show me doing the entryway, but there are pictures of the entryway at the end. I think the whole house turned out really nice. I'm really happy with the way that this house turned out. Here I am working on the kitchen. That corner piece, I could not get to work the way that I wanted it to, and eventually I figured it out. And even watching it back, I'm like, oh, I could have done it that way. And then I go back into it to see if I could have, and it still doesn't look right. And I don't know what I was doing wrong. But I figured something out that looked okay. I did this little extra piece to the kitchen here, and I put a coffee maker on it in a fake kettle. for like tea and stuff. And it kind of was just like a coffee bar area. And I really like it. It turned out nice and it gave me more room to put the fridge and the dishwasher in the coffee pot. I don't always use coffee pots. I don't drink coffee and I don't drink tea. For medical reasons on the coffee anyway. I just don't like tea. I have Crohn's disease, which is something I've never mentioned on this channel before, so I guess it's about time that I mentioned it. I have Crohn's disease and I can't have coffee. And I don't really like coffee anyway. I've tried coffee a bunch of different ways and I just don't like it. But anyways, here in the kitchen, what I had decided on this shelf that I put above the stove is that the things that were up there were things that belonged to their mom. So like that's their mom's pot and their mom's frying pan and they don't use them, but they're up there because like I had mentioned in the cast video that they don't have their parents anymore. Their parents passed away. And I put those little jars up there and they say like flour, sugar, and something else on them. But those are the kids' colors, if you did not notice that. The siblings, they all had a color, and those are their colors, and those were their moms as well. And I will put a picture on the wall here in a second, and I'll explain that when it gets to it too. I really liked doing this kitchen. It was small, but I think it turned out really nicely, and I was able to add um, some little clutter things to it, so it's not too cluttered up because it is a small kitchen. But I was able to add little story elements to it that I really liked that made it seem more special to me. And here I'm adding a couple little pictures there, and I add the fork and spoon to the wall there. I tried getting some pans for there, and I think I put these ones up here, and those ones are weird because they're supposed to be on a rack, and I didn't put the rack up there. So they look weird. They look like they're just hanging from nowhere. But here I'm putting this picture and it's a recipe for brownies. So in my head, that is their mom's recipe for brownies. And they had it commissioned so that they would always have their mom's recipe for brownies on the wall. So they would always know what it was. Which is a nice little story element that I came up with in my mind. And I really like it. If you don't like it, I don't care. It was for me. So I've moved on to the little breakfast nook here. Um, I tried to, you'll see me go into like a top-down view here to try and get that table to fit in a way that lined up with the back door. But if I did, it was too close to the island chairs, the stools. So I ended up moving it over so it was in line with this little wall that's next to the stairs. And I really like the way that the breakfast nook area turned out. I think it was really cute. I add like a side table and a mirror to that wall next to the stairs. And I put some curtains up here. And I put a little mat right in front of the door. I like the way that it turned out, and it was nice to be able to kind of go with the aesthetic from the kitchen and move it into the breakfast nook and then in the family room that's next to that. In the dining room, the formal dining room is in that room where the arch is. I like the way that the dining room turned out, but I think if I'd put another archway that was in the entryway, it wouldn't have had as difficult of a time decorating it because it was just two huge long walls and I could not figure out what to do there. And here I'm doing the dining room now. I end up putting a fireplace on the one wall where the garage is. You can get like a little sneak peek of the garage there. I ended up putting a fireplace on that wall, and it looks nice. I don't like as much the other wall, the opposite wall. I had a really hard time with this room trying to figure out exactly what I wanted to do because it's supposed to be the formal dining room, and I figured as a young adult and two teenagers, they probably don't really use this room. They might when they get older, but I feel like right now they don't really because they don't have their parents. So like for the most part, they aren't having like big holidays in there or anything, like Thanksgiving and stuff. So I didn't exactly know what to do with the room. I knew it was going to be the formal dining room, but trying to figure out exactly what I was going to put in there was really difficult for me. Um, Regardless of the issues that I had, it did turn out nice. I think I put that plant in the corner here. Yes, that plant. Um, and I think I put a couple other plants in here. But for the most part, this was just the most difficult room for me because it was a room that would be in the house from when their parents were still here, but that they don't really use. So I just had a really hard time with it. I ended up going with the extra dining chairs by the window, like little Simsy does. I got that from her. I would have put like a couch or something there, but then I thought about it and I was like, no, that doesn't really make sense. So I ended up going with the extra dining chairs just in case because I figured if if they had big meals there with their family at some point, they might have needed extra chairs even though they don't use them anymore. Now we moved on to the family room. This I feel like is the more formal living area, and that there's no TV here. I did couches and the chairs, and there's the fireplace. I wish I had changed that fireplace and gone with a different one now. Um, but I feel like it still looks nice. I just wish I had gone with a different one because it's the exact same one that I use in the dining room. And I feel like in here I could have used a bigger one. Uh, Not much goes into this room. There's some seating, some little decor things, some plants, a couple pictures on the walls, things like that. Um, I had a hard time in this room a little bit with the table that I put between the two living chairs. I cut it out because I spent a long time trying to find a table that worked there and went with the coffee table. I had to have spent a good 10 minutes just scrolling through the side tables to find something to go right there. And I had to cut it out because it was taking way too much time and I knew I was running out of time anyways in this room. But I do like the way that this room turned out. I think it looks nice. I think even for a formal area that, again, they probably don't use, it looks really good. I don't think I would have changed anything in this room other than the fireplace. Maybe the color of the curtains, so they would have matched the ones that were on the windows next to the back door. But again, I don't think it really matters because they match the rug that's there. But I do really like this room. I think it turned out nice, even though it's a room that they don't really use. This is the living room. This is the room that was in the thumbnail for the cast video where they were all sitting on the couch and the brother was watching TV and the two sisters were talking, which I feel like is a very, very realistic family dynamic. I feel like that's how my family kind of was. I don't have a brother by blood, I have a stepbrother. And I feel like he's a lot like that. When we go over to my dad's for like Sunday dinners, if he's there, he's mostly on his phone or watching TV. He doesn't really listen to us. So I feel like that was a very realistic family dynamic. I end up changing these bookcases and putting these two with nothing on them, and you'll see I cut it out all the placing of objects that I put on there, but my idea for this was that all the things that are on these shelves were their parents, and the pictures of the people that are on the shelves are of their parents, which was a nice little extra touch that I added to this room also, like I did in the kitchen. They use this room a lot, so I figured it would be nice to have some sort of ode to their parents since their parents aren't with them anymore. So I really like doing that, scrolling through all the clutter items to find things to go there. On the top shelf of the right bookcase is three vases. They're also in the colors of the Sims, the three siblings, which is something that I try to do in little areas throughout the house is use those 3 colors to represent the kids because I figured that's something that their mom would have done and I thought it was really cute. I don't add much more to this room other than clutter items. And I put a floor lamp, which you might have noticed in the screenshot as well. I really like that floor lamp. It is just so big. This might be my favorite room in the house outside of the kitchen. This is the master bedroom. Since the girl had a lot of colors in her dress, if you remember her dress for her everyday outfit in the cast video, it was white, pink, orange, baby blue, and black. I tried to go with mostly orange because orange I figured was like her favorite color. And you'll notice that rug there was kind of perfect because it's almost all the colors minus the pink. So I tried to go with mostly orange here, but use the rest of her colors as well. And I end up doing this little like built-in vanity across from the bed on the opposite wall. Originally, the plan was to put a desk. Um, the desk didn't work, so I went to the kitchen to look at stools because I was like, I can put countertops, island counters there instead. So I found a stool that I liked. And then I went to look at counters and I found those little countertop pieces that I got that are CC. I think they're from RVSN. I don't remember for sure, but I think so. And then I found that little fake wall and put that there too, and then put the windows in the back. And I was like, that is perfect. It is my favorite part of this house, is this built-in vanity that I did. I think it turned out wonderful. I absolutely love it. It's probably my favorite thing I've ever done. I had some fun picking out the little like makeup things and stuff that I would put there for her. Um, in the screenshots that I show of the bedroom later, she's sitting at the vanity. She's just sitting there, and I had to pose her sitting there, and she did not want to stay sitting there because her siblings were doing other things. They were painting and writing, and she did not want to stay there. I had to keep telling her to go back and just sit there so I could get the screenshot, and it drove me insane trying to keep her sitting there because these Sims did not want to listen to me. They were very rebellious. I guess, though, that serves me right because I was a rebellious kid as well. So I add a few more things to this room. I put this bookshelf in here. Um, I think that that was in the actual bookshelf, so I think it works as a regular bookshelf, but also the books that I put on the middle shelf um, work as a bookshelf too. Here I was gonna put those little like I don't know what they were, but they looked like urns to me, and I was gonna be like, oh, that's her parents. But then I thought about it, and I was like, no, that's a little bit too morbid. I can't do that. So I ended up getting rid of them and putting a plant up there instead. But originally, those were gonna be like her parents. Those were gonna be like the urns that her parents' ashes were in, and then I changed my mind because I didn't want to do that. That just seemed too morbid for me. I put this little chase lounge here. I thought it was cute, and it's a piece of CC that I haven't used yet. I've had it for a little while now, but I haven't used it, and I thought this was the perfect chance to use it because I needed to put something there. And I ended up changing the door to the bathroom there because I found that barn door in my CC, and originally I was just going to put a um, like an archway there, but then I realized that I had those barn doors as actual archways as well. And so I put that there. Even though technically it works like an archway, the door doesn't open or close on it. I liked the way it looked, and it ended up looking really nicely, in my opinion. And now I'm working on the sons or the brothers' bedroom. This bedroom, it's for a boy, and it ended up looking a little bit girlier than I had intended. Um, I don't think it's a big deal in the end. I ended up adding yellow as an accent color in here based on a picture that I put up on the wall above the dresser. I think the yellow helped. It made it look not so girly. And normally I wouldn't care, but I figured in this case I didn't want it to be as girly. This I In the cast video, I had concluded that he was a artist type. He was creative. He liked doing creative things, and so I put like an easel there, and I put some art stuff on the desk too. But I still didn't think that that lended to the girly aesthetic that was going on in this room, and so I tried to switch it up, and I think it looks better than it did once I started adding the yellow. I wish that I had done something else to this room to make it fit him more, but I couldn't. I guess that day I was just in like a bit of a rut in terms of creative thinking, and so it just didn't end up exactly the way that I wanted it to for him. But in the end, I think it still did end up to be a very nice room. I really like the way that turned out. I have this little bit of art CC that I use on the desk there. I have some paints and stuff that I put there, in a little cup with some paintbrushes in it, because I was really trying to show his artistic side, because that was the thing. I think he would end up being a painter. And so I really wanted to show that, and I put some pictures on the walls that look like things that were painted like that. Like I could assume he painted that. And I think there's one other one that I put in there that would look like it was something that he painted. I That was the one. I really do like this room. I just wish that I had been able to switch it up so that it made more sense for the sim. And the girls' room I think ends up a little bit better, and I do like it. I had some problems with her room too, this room, with the greens. The greens were green is my favorite color, but sometimes I feel like green is a hard color to work with because there's so many shades of green, and some shades of green just invoke negative negative feelings like mold and things like that. And so I had a really hard time picking out greens that worked in this room that didn't make me think, oh, that looks horrible. I put those tall wardrobes in her closet, um, and I add a little bookshelf piece on that wall there in the corner. The thing about this sister is that she also had a lot of creative traits, and so I wanted to make it a little bit different than her brother, where he's into painting. I made it so that she was into writing. So I put a computer at her desk, and I put this little open notebook with like a pen there, so it makes it look like she was writing at some point. Um, I do really like all of the Sims that I made for this family. And I like that I made them all so different, but it makes it seem like they are all in the same family. Because I feel like that's difficult sometimes. But I feel like I did a good job on this one. Despite the boys' bedroom not being completely how I would have wanted it. I do think that it did turn out very nicely. It is definitely my favorite house I've made so far. I do have to say that. It took me a long time, and editing took me a long time, and cutting down the video so it wasn't an hour long took me a long time. But in the end, I think it was well worth it because it turned out very nicely. It's definitely my favorite house, and I'm looking forward to being able to do family homes like this more often. Normally, families are not my aesthetic in The Sims, but this one turned out nice enough that I'm looking forward to doing more families. The next one I'm doing is a pre-made family. So that's already set. I don't have to come up with their traits and stuff like that. That's them. They're already there. But we are coming up on the end of the video. I think I just put down this rug and I put down a ceiling fan like I did in all the other bedrooms. And then the screenshots will be coming up. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed this build. And I hope you have a very nice day.